What's going on, y'all? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? What's up? Let me get my shit situated a little bit. Or myself, I should say, because, they might cut my bread away off of that. Hope they don't. Put this up. Oh, shoot. I didn't even fix the chat box. 1 second, y'all. Fix the chat box. So I know some of y'all seen the title of this and like, what? Episode 1? What is this? I'll explain it all in a second. Someone asked, did I see the new Spencer Dinwiddie shoes? Be honest, what do you think? You think I saw that? I've barely been keeping up with the Nets as it is. You expect me to know about Spencer Dinwiddie's shoes and what they look like? Oof. Almost exposed something. Move. Okay. Why is this chat not showing up? I gotta move that to the top. Why is it not showing? Is it because of other stuff? Maybe it's whatever. Yeah, it's probably whatever. Oh, there it is. Okay. What's going on, chat? What's going on, YouTube? I'm starting a new series today. Let me just introduce. Time to re-up. You guys know. We back with another stream. I got a lot of things to talk about. There's a couple players balling out. My MVP pick is looking better right now. But I wanted to introduce, this is the start of a new series on the channel that I'll be doing not every week, but probably like every 2 weeks or so. Probably every 2-3 weeks, just to check in with the league, see where everything is standing. It's going to be called The Top Half. I'll probably come up with a better name sometime soon. But more than likely, that's going to be the name for now. Episode 1, of course, as you can see, where we rank the top half of the league. We give tiers to every single team in the NBA, but obviously it's called the top half because the top half of the league is what matters. If you're not in playing or around that, then let's be serious. Do we really care about you? Honestly, we don't need to care about, spoiler alert, the Charlotte Hornets or the Detroit Pistons. There's going to be a couple of couple of teams that don't make the cut, unfortunately. It's going to be a couple of teams and players, or teams I should specifically say, that do not make the cut. But nonetheless, that's what this stream is for, where we're going to basically remove the teams that just don't matter in the convo. We're going to talk about the teams that do and where they stack up in the league. It is a fluid list. Like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, when I do the next episode, for all you know, the Clippers may jump into a higher tier. The Nuggets may lower. The Celtics may lower. The Bucks may lower or get better wherever. It's a fluid list. If injuries happen, that could remove you out the contention. That could remove you out of play-in spot. You could move to the bums in the bottom. But we got a couple of tiers here and a lot of things I got agendas to push. You feel me? But before we go any further, though, you guys make sure you like this stream. Comment as well. I see we got a couple people in the chat. Y'all comment up. If you have some super chats, drop them. I will read those messages. That's what it's there for. But yeah, let's get into some of these tiers. All right, let's start off with the bottom. Give me a second, y'all. I'm out here. Finna make this full screen. All right, as you guys can see, I'm gonna let this start off right here. Right? I'm gonna shit. I'm covering one of the icons of the teams. I didn't even think about that. I was supposed to give myself a little cushion. All right, there we go. I'll put myself right there. Oh, shoot, the sound. Can y'all hear me? Everything good here? Someone's saying the sound. Is the sound straight? Don't play with me, y'all. Is the sound straight or not? Because I'm seeing people saying the sound. I don't know if niggas trolling me or not. I think I sound good. All right, yeah, I think he was trolling. All right, so let's start off with the bums. These teams are teams that have nothing to really fight for. Someone say my mic is really low. Is it? Hold up. Let me take it up. Is that better? My mic better? People are saying fine. Yes. Does my mic sound better? Someone said my mic was low. Let's take that. Let's take it up. Is it better? It should be better. It should be better. All right. Let's start off with the bums. As you guys can see, these teams have absolutely nothing to play for. Right now, they're probably in the case of a team like the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham, one of my favorite players, or at least one of my favorite players coming into the season. I still got love for him. I think he still can be good, but it's clear he's not the player the Pistons wanted him to be so far this season. It's clear that the spacing on that team is a big reason why, though. And honestly, until they really make steps to fix the offensive help and get players to more so suit him, because the pick and roll between him and Jalen Duren, that was the selling point of the Pistons early in the season when they looked a lot better. But then as things went on, their defense started getting worse. I think Cade defensively is a little overrated by Pistons fans. Still, he's solid, but not as great as a lot of them like to make it seem. And then on top of that, Killian Hayes is in the starting lineup. So that's that about the Pistons. The Charlotte Hornets, I think what's more to really be said. This team is not good. They're not going to be competing for play-in. LaMelo's been playing a lot better as of late. Thankfully for that, because I really do like LaMelo. I want him to be a great player. I think he will be a great player. He's been getting to the rim, finishing at the rim efficiently, which was probably his biggest issue, his finishing at the rim. But now this year he's playing well. But I think the big story, actually, same thing with the Pistons. They're rookies. Asar Thompson and Brandon Miller, I think they're ahead of schedule and playing better than a lot of people thought. Asar, I think people had expectations for him to be a really good player, but the things he's doing right now is actually kind of crazy. One of the best rebounders in the league as a 6'7" small forward rookie. On top of that, one of the best point of attack defender, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, period. Good passer, nice little connector kind of player, high IQ. Brandon Miller, same thing. I look at Brandon Miller play, and I can see Paul George in this game. Nice, smooth little handle, can get by guys off of that. Nice little quick moves in the triple threat. He has some nice length and size to be good defensively. And I like what they're doing with Charlotte and Detroit with the rookies of Asar and Brandon Miller. But like I said, there's not much outside of that. And, a couple players here and there like Cade, LaMelo, Duren. I don't really see anything for these teams. They're bums. Same thing with the Spurs. The Spurs are not a good team right now. Defensively, outside of Wembanyama, there really isn't anything to talk about with this roster. On top of that, offensively, they ignore Wembanyama at times. I like what I've seen from Devin Vassell. I think he's going to be a really good player. But yeah, outside of Vassell and Wemby, there's nothing to really talk about. I mean, Keldon Johnson, I don't think he's the player I thought he was last year or 2 years ago even. He's solid, but, it is what it is with him. Jazz, there's nothing about the Utah Jazz. I think the Utah Jazz are having the season this year so far that people thought they'd have last year. Except Laurie has maintained. Laurie has been really good. I like what he's been doing. But, yeah, outside of him, there's really nothing to talk about with the Utah Jazz. The Chicago Bulls, we're rebuilding. There's nothing really about that team that is worth talking about. So I'm going to move on, honestly. Who wants to talk about Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Caruso when we all know they're going to be on different teams by the end of the season? The Portland Trailblazers, not a good team. Another team that's struggling like crazy right now. DeAndre Ayton is not the player I thought he was going to be this year. And a lot of that is because Scoot has not lived up, because I thought the Scoot and Ayton pick and roll would be really good for them. But no. Shaedon Sharp, he's been playing decent at points in the season, but, a little inconsistent. You could tell more attention on him, more touches, being the primary focal point of offense at times. It's taking a toll on him, but hopefully he'll figure it out. But overall, the team's not good. The only real consistency on that roster is Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant. The Washington Wizards, bad team. Jordan Poole is not good. He's just not good at the sport. 1 second here. I think Poole can be a good player. I really do. But he has a lot of IQ issues, a lot of young nigga problems. And a lot of that, honestly, I don't know if it's because he just doesn't give a shit. I mean, the guy is in Washington. I wouldn't care too. I'm making hundreds of millions of dollars. I get to go on the court and do whatever the fuck I want. I'd be doing that shit too if I'm Jordan Poole. But there's nothing really remotely cool. I mean, I'll say Bilal Kalabi. I've seen some of his tape here and there. He's playing decent, I think. I think he's giving them good minutes on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, he's still a little raw, but you can see it coming along even so early in the season. So keep an eye on Bilal. He's playing solid. He can make a little push for Rookie of the Year as time goes by. I don't think he will, but he can make a solid push. He's not going to win or anything, but he can make a push. Then the Memphis Grizzlies, I saved them for last because if any team can move out of the bum category right now, later on in the season, it's the Grizzlies. We know Ja is going to be back in about like 2-3 weeks from now. He's out for 25 games due to the suspension with the whole guns thing. We don't got to get into all of that. But right now, this team isn't good. Marcus Smart is out for the next couple weeks due to an ankle injury. Triple J is playing solid, or at least he was to start off the season. And Desmond Bane's playing good. But this team already in the half court was struggling. And now without Ja, without Marcus Smart, and Steven Adams, don't forget Steven Adams was a big hit to that Grizzlies team. I just don't see what they're going to do moving forward with this roster other than probably just throw away the season. There's a good chance they have to throw away the season, honestly. But that's all I got to say about the bums because they're bums. There's nothing really too much to say about these niggas. Let's move on. Okay, let me move myself over here. The next tier, grateful mediocrity. Grateful mediocrity. Now, what do I mean by that? Grateful mediocrity is teams that are mediocre, but very grateful to be in the position that they're in, considering what they had really to work with. Let's start off with the Nets. Why are the Nets gratefully mediocre? I think right now they are 7-8 or 6-7, something like that. If you look at the team right now, Cam Thomas has been playing solid in some minutes. But if you consider that Claxton has missed a good chunk of the season and they're 500, Ben Simmons has missed a good chunk of the season and they're 500, I definitely think it's solid for them to be where they're at because they actually couldn't afford to be bad because they don't have their pick, They got some picks from the Harden trade and the KD trade. But if we're really being honest, right now, them being mediocre, I think is solid because they can, if they're a mediocre team, 500 team, add some more picks and young players and, guys in free agency, I definitely think the Nets' future is not that bad. Now, I will admit, you want Mikal to be a little bit better, but, that's that as far as they're concerned. I mean, you can't have it all. So I would say they should be grateful to be where they are right now. And then the Rockets, I think it's self-explanatory. This is a team that added some vets, guys like Van Vliet, guys like Dylan Brooks. I like what Dylan Brooks has done for them on both sides of the ball. He has definitely gone back to like his 2021 form when he was actually a solid shooter. We already knew defensively he was an elite point of attack defender. He's been playing well. And Fred VanVleet going out there, one of the better playmakers on that team. He's really doing solid in the PNR with Sengun. He does have a tendency to shoot them out of games at times and really take some ill-advised shots. His efficiency numbers look really bad. His efficiency doesn't look good, but when you watch the games, he's better than his numbers do suggest. And then Sengun. What more can I say? Sengun is, I apologize to him on social media, but Sengun is so good. He has such a great feel around the basket. In the low post, he's damn near unstoppable. It feels like every shot he takes is a bucket. Every shot he takes. Great touch. That post hook. You know, he got a nice little floater. He has a nice little one-legged midi. He's been pulling out looking like Dirk out here. You know, there's definitely promise with his floor spacing as well. He's taking these shots. I like the fact that he's taking them. He's going away from the Steven Silas approach of last season. So I definitely do like what Houston has been able to accomplish outside of Jalen Green. Jalen Green stinks. And I could talk about Jalen Green right now, but guys, trust me, the Jalen Green video is coming. I keep trying to tell you, Rockets fans, that is, what do I always say? Yeah, Jordan Clarkson with the first step. That's Jalen Green. Until you guys realize that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. He's going to drop 30 next week or some shit. You guys are going to be fooled again into thinking he's Kobe. He's not. Trust me, he's not. But let's move on to the next tier. Embarrassing mediocrity. Let me move this over. Embarrassing mediocrity. This is basically kind of flipped from the tier before, but I had to put these guys above because I do think in a series, all three of them a little bit lower on the Raptors, but I do think all three of them can beat the Nets and Rockets, so I had to put them in a tier above. But this is not where you want to be if you're any of three of these teams, right? Because let's start off with Toronto. Toronto, granted, there's been a lot of good in this season, right? Scotty Barnes has taken a step forward. But if we're really being honest, right? If you're a Toronto fan, looking at this roster that you guys have in Toronto, it's not promising, right? Granted, you can move some players and then rebuild, but right now you're mediocre. This is a team that is struggling to be a play-in team right now. On top of that, this is a team that also Siakam is on an expiring contract and not playing his best ball. He's been playing a lot better as of late. I'll give it to him. They've been using him a lot better in the offense. But right now, he's not playing well. And I also think Siakam, because he's gotten better opportunity in the offense, he has not gelled well with Scotty Barnes, because it's no coincidence that when Siakam started playing better, like over the last couple weeks, that Scotty Barnes has tailored off. You know, and Scotty Barnes right now, if you really want to invest in him, now's the time where you move guys like OG and Siakam, that guys that have value, that you can get a good solid return from other teams trying to contend with those players, and then actually just build around what you have with Scotty. Even if Scotty does not become the player that I think Raptors fans want him to be and the organization themselves, it's still something that's worth trying for this season because you're not going anywhere. You know, so I think they're a mediocre team. Then you move on to the Pelicans. The Pelicans are mediocre. They're a 500 team right now. And it's really sad what's happening because I'm going to be honest with you. Even though Zion's been playing solid over the last like 2-3 games, he does not look the same. He's not as fast. He doesn't have that first step the way he used to. And some of it is the injuries. He doesn't have that lift. But he did just start off the season. He's coming off of a season-ending injury last year that limited him to 29 games. So maybe he just got to get that rust off. Like I said, he's been playing a lot better as of late, but maybe he just has to get that rust off. But also, some of the players on this team, they're not really doing their thing. You know, you got guys like McCollum, Valanciunas. I never thought those were going to be great fits defensively for this team. Ingram, I don't think Ingram... How do I put this? Because let me pull up his numbers so I can read it to y'all. Ingram this year, in my personal opinion, I don't want to be rude when I say this, so give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Yeah, like I was saying, Ingram, in my opinion, this year, the fit between him and Zion, I do think it's solid offensively. Ingram can close out some of these games. He's good in the mid-range. He's not having a bad year. This is actually, I wouldn't say a better year than last year, but it's on par with a lot of his other seasons. 24, 5-5, 50, 30% from three, a little bit of a dip there, 77% at the free throw line. I just don't think Ingram is, he's not somebody that, I don't think he's a game changer without Zion, if that makes sense. And he's managed to put the Pelicans in good positions without Zion, especially like over the last two seasons, or especially what he did in 2022. But defensively, he doesn't have that impact. And right now, if you look at this Pelicans team, right, like I said, they're 7-7. They're mediocre on both sides of the ball. 15th in points per game, 20th in offensive rating, 15th in defensive rating, 18th in opponents' points per game. CJ McCollum, the problem I have with CJ is that he doesn't really make advanced reads. His playmaking this year has been better than other years, but, you know, he doesn't make advanced reads like that. I wouldn't call him like a great playmaker, and he's also missed games. That's something about CJ over the last, you know, couple of years. You know, he has been more injury prone than his early years, which is to be expected. The man's 32 years old. Valanciunas, I don't like his fit defensively. The Pelicans right now, all they got to do is just pray. And I mean pray that Zion gets back to his regular form, because right now he's not really holding up his end. He's not holding up his end. He's got to be better. Got to be better. Sorry, I got caught up here looking at some of these comments. But let's move on. Oh, yeah, the Hawks. Before we move on, the Hawks. The Hawks are also embarrassingly mediocre. I don't really know where they go from here, because Trae Young, right? As good as he can be, and the ceiling is for him, the problem with Trae Young is that I don't think you can win a championship with him. At least from what he's shown, right? Like, he's a streaky shooter, right? His gravity is like the biggest part of his game, if we're being honest, because his playmaking is very dependent on that. He puts pressure on the defense as a scorer in multiple different ways. He's a good mid-range shooter, but he's such a streaky three-point shooter. He's a streaky scorer now. You know, his finishing at the rim is not very good. He has a floater, but that's it. You know, at the rim itself, he's not a very good finisher. You know, in the restricted area, I think he's been shooting like mid to like high 50s, which is still below league average. He's got to be better as a scorer. And this year's been like one of his worst starts of the season. It's been rough to see what's been going on with Trae Young this year. Like I said, he's got to be better. But honestly, I could talk about Trae, but DeJounte Murray, he's been solid this year, to be fair. He has been solid. But if he's your number two guy, Trae, DeJounte, they lost John Collins. Onyeka's solid, but Capella, he's not really moving me. He's gotten worse. He's been regressing over the last couple of years. I think it's time for him to transition to a different team. But this is a contract year. I just don't see where the Hawks go with this roster. You gave up picks for DeJounte also. I don't see where they go. I mean, they've benched A.J. Griffin. I like Jalen Johnson. He's been playing solid. But A.J. Griffin, man, why are they doing that to him? I don't know why they don't want to play him minutes. It's weird. It's weird. But let's move on to the next teams. There we go. We're finally in the top half now. We're in the top half. Now we're in the official part of the stream. Official part of the stream. The top half. Midpack. Basically, I think this is self-explanatory. These are teams that are in the middle of the road in their conferences. And granted, to be fair, there's some positive takeaways. But right now, I think they're at a crossroads. For the Knicks, they're a good, or not good. They're a playoff team, for sure, play-in team at worst. But they're not good enough to compete. And they need to make a move. And right now, Julius Randle, I think he's been playing decent as of late. But if I'm not mistaken, let me pull up his numbers, because I could have swore he started off the season with Chinese numbers. Oh, it's still bad. My God. Julius Randle this season is averaging 20 points, and I'm rounding up, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, while shooting 38% from the field, 27% from three, 67% at the free throw line, with a true shooting percentage of 47%. Do you know what that screams? Julius Randle, get ready to learn the Chinese alphabet, nigga. Oh my God. You're terrible. You stink, nigga. You're bad at this sport. Sheesh, this nigga's trash. Trash as fuck. Man. But, yeah. They definitely need to make a move. I saw reports in the offseason and even during the season so far. We've heard the whole trade for Karl Anthony Towns thing. Be serious. That's not moving the needle. It's not. And if you think pairing Karl Anthony Towns with another bad defender in the front court, Julius Randle, is going to move mountains, be real with yourselves. Be real with yourself. Stop lying. And Jalen Brunson, he's not a liability, but he's 6'1". You want the people to cover for him to be Cat and Julius Randle? Come on, let's be better with that. Yes, Julius Randle is throwing up Bob Cousy numbers. Bob Cousy stats. But the Cavs, another mid-pack team. This is a team that I think is a for sure playoff, at worst play-in team. But considering you got Darius Garland on a max extension, Donovan Mitchell on, I think he might have a super max. You got Evan Mobley, who is on a rookie deal, but eventually you're going to have to give him the extension. And then Jared Allen making $100 million, which is a movable contract, a manageable contract in general. I don't see where they go from here if Evan Mobley does not improve. And so far, he's not taken that next step. He's a DPOY caliber player, capable of giving you 16 and 10 with 2 blocks. He's playing really solid this year on that side of the ball, but offensively, he's not taking the growth that a lot of people will. Offensively, he's not taking the step forward that a lot of people thought he would be taking this season. This is year 3. Year 1, you're getting your feet wet. You're having a solid rookie year. Year 2, you have not a sophomore slump, but he had a solid year. And then in the postseason, that's when that sophomore slump really kicked in. You were met with strength at the rim, resistance there, forced to get into your bag with scoring counters, and you couldn't do it. But we gave you some grace. Sophomore season, but now in your 3rd year, you're looking relatively the same. A Darius Garland merchant offensively. You're still not really a strong roller or great screener like that. You've gotten better and shown some improvements, but you're not where you need to be there. You're more of a play finisher. You're not a play creator. You have these flashes, but it's not consistent. That's the problem with Evan Mobley that I see, and honestly, maybe he just won't get there. If this is where he is, like, if his ceiling is just a DPOY caliber guy that can be a play finisher here and there, somewhat of a lob threat, a 16, 17, and 10 guy, I mean, that's decent, but it's not really reaching the expectations that people wanted for him. You know, people were giving him KG comps, you know, and KG came into the league a bit raw offensively, same thing. So Mobley's got to step up, and if not, Donovan Mitchell may be leaving. But let's move on. Struggling contenders. And I put contenders in quotations because it's an argument that neither of these teams are real contenders. But we do that because of the talent that they have at the top of their rosters. I talked about the Clippers recently with the James Harden video. They've been playing a lot better as of late, but overall in the season, they're kind of struggling. I believe they're 5-7 right now, or 5-8, something like that. After starting off 3-1, they struggled with Harden. They went on, I believe, a 5-game losing streak with Harden, and then they won a game. They beat the Rockets. Some of these wins have been solid, but overall, the team as a whole this season has been struggling, and the Zubac problem, it's going to come back to bite them come playoff time. I'm telling you right now. Someone said the Warriors make the contenders part. Bruh, I put contenders in quotations. People will say the Warriors are not contenders right now, and I agree. They're not really contenders, but in a playoff series, you're always going to take them serious. No matter who they face, because they have Steph Curry, you will never rule them out completely. No matter who they face, and if you think that's a lie, you're lying to yourself. When you have arguably the best defender in basketball when locked in Draymond Green, arguably the best offensive player in the league, at worst, top 3 offensive player in the league, I don't see how you can't say that that they're not in the fake contenders category. At least they definitely are. But yeah, the depth is not very good on the team. Klay Thompson looks washed, just straight up washed as fuck. But they have Steph Curry, and he gives them fake hope. He gives Warriors fans fake hope on the season. So I'm going to put them in the struggling contenders category. Same thing with the Suns. The Suns right now, I believe, are 8-6. They're about like 2 games above 500. But on the season as a whole, it's been hard to get all 3 of these guys to play together longer than like a game or 2. These niggas are all getting hurt at parts of the season. And I literally said this. I said there's a chance they can miss the postseason because there's a reality where all 3 of them are injured. That is definitely a reality. I think they're probably the better team in position, or at least let me rephrase. They're probably in the best position out of all 3 of these teams to actually be legitimate. But, the injuries I definitely think are a concern for this team. And it's partially why it's hard for me to really take this team serious. And, I heard somebody say that the Beal trade might be a situation where everybody lost. Everybody lost. But, we'll see. We'll have to give that time before we really get into that. Let's see, man. Better than expected so far. That's what this tier is. Hold on. Move myself a little bit. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove. Shoot, my cat is tweaking. But yeah, right here, we got better than expected. Not bad, y'all. Better than expected is pretty self-explanatory, right? These teams have superseded expectations. They've been better than a lot of people thought. And let's go right to left. So first we got the Dallas Mavericks, who coming into the season, I saw them as a play-in team. That's why I saw them at best 6th seed. The Mavs, they've taken some steps forward this year offensively, been a really solid team. Luka and Kyrie, obviously, when you have those two, I think it's safe to say you're going to have a top 10 offense when they're playing on the court together. Kyrie has been solid, lived up to expectations. I think defensively he hasn't been very good. He's actually been really bad. But Luka, I'll say this about the Mavs. Out of these 3 teams, I've seen them probably the least. People have been saying Luka's taken some defensive jump. From the games I've seen from the Mavs, he's still a walking blow-by. His awareness is a little bit better. He's trying. You can see the effort there, but I don't see what people are seeing when they say Luka's taking some leap. I don't see it. Like, he's still not a good defender. I guess he's taking a leap from being a -10 to a -5, if that's what we're doing. I mean, it's just like it's like last year when people said Trey improved defensively. Okay, he's still trash. He's trash. You're comparing trash to garbage. Same tier to me. The Magic. I think the Magic are better than expected, but the big thing about them is defense, right? Because, let me pull it up here. When you look at the Orlando team, offensively, they're not winning games because they're scoring well. Jalen Suggs, he's not scoring very well. Paolo, he had a very rough start to the season. He's been playing better as of late, but he started off the year just playing trash. On top of that, you got a guy like Franz, who I think took a step back to start off the season. I think he will be good. He will be better, but he did not play well to start off the season. I would say the only real form of consistency on that team, honestly, I'm really, really looking at it. The only real form of consistency on that team offensively has probably been Gary Harris. Gary Harris, by the way, is somebody that if you're a contending team in the league, you should look at trading for him. I think he's on an expiring deal. He's a decent not even decent. He's been a great 3-point shooter this year. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to shoot 50% from 3 for the remainder of the season. But he is still a really decent 3-point shooter. He's improved as a 3-point shooter since he left Denver, which has been a shocking surprise. But he's also a really good defender on the perimeter. Good POA guy. I remember the years people thought he was going to be better than Jamal Murray. And when he came into the league, there was actually a real argument between those two. But I do like what I've seen defensively from this team, though. Like I said, they are one of the best defenses in the league. They're fourth in opponents' points per game, and they're first in defensive rating. I think the team is really solid. I think they will be a playoff team, or at bare minimum, a play-in team, just because of how good their defense is, and offensively, they are playing a lot better as of late. And it's mainly been Paolo. Paolo started off the year horrible, but right now, the guy's shooting 41% from three, albeit on less than 3 attempts a game. He's still knocking down one a game. So his shooting has been better. He's been better at getting to the rim. He has good size on him. Like I said, like he kind of reminds me of a mix of, this is going to sound crazy, but at least a Payless version. Like he's like LeBron's body, but like mellow skills, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I would say. LeBron's body, mellow skills, or at least like attempts to be skilled like that. But yeah, I still do like what I've seen. They've been better than expected. They're 9-5 on the season. They're 5th in the East. And I think they can maintain. They can be a 5th, 6th, at bare minimum play-in team in the NBA this season for the East. And then the Pacers. You guys know how I feel about my nigga Hallie. I made a video about Hallie. Hallie is him. One of the best shooters in the league. A good pull-up jump shooter. Not great at getting rim pressure. Honestly, I don't even got to go through Hallie. We already know Hallie is the black Steve Nash, as they say. Modern day Chris Paul. You know, people are out there saying crazy shit about him. But I love what Hallie has done this year. I think he's a top 10 offensive player. Guys like Bruce Brown and especially Miles Turner benefiting heavily from a guy like him. Obi Toppin has been playing well as of late. I like what I've seen from the Pacers. They're the best offense in the league. Hallie is leading the league in assists. I think they're a legitimate playoff team, and they've been better than a lot of people expected them to be. Next tier. Let me move myself out of the frame. Better, or we should have known. We should have known. All these teams have aspects about them that we should have known would make them legitimate teams in their conference, arguably contenders, depending on who you ask. But we just kind of let certain things get in the way and cloud the judgment. For the Miami Heat, them losing guys like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, the fact that people, including myself, thought those were such huge blows, and you know the Heat were just not going to be good anymore because of that, or at least they took like a big step back. We look like fools right now. Jaime Jaquez is playing solid. You know, I like what I've seen from Bam Adebayo. He's taken another step offensively, even though we know come playoff time what that shit's going to turn into, scam Adebayo again. But nonetheless, I still love what Bam's done. He's been their best player, easily their most consistent player. He's got the Duncan Robinson lineups working, Tyler Hero lineups working, both of them on the court together, playing well, in my opinion. Duncan Robinson's been decent defensively. They've been able to hide him a lot more. He's become a playable player. Now that contract, it's way easier to move. And I'm going to be honest with you. When D. Mitch asks out, because he will eventually ask out of Cleveland, maybe not this year, but in the offseason, that's the guard that Miami should be going after. Not Zach LaVine, but Donovan Mitchell. Just going to throw that out there. But yeah, I could definitely see the Heat. Hate to say this because, you know, I don't want to see that basketball in the finals. I could see them going back to the NBA finals and coming out the East. I'm just being honest with you. The Thunder. We should have known they'd be good, right? You're adding a team. You're adding a player like Chet Holmgren, who has the potential to be one of the best rim protectors in the league as soon as he touches down in the league, right? You're adding him to a team that was one of, I think they were like a mid-pack defensive team without a rim protector last year. And now when you look at what they've been able to do this season, right? Let me pull it up. Not only is Chet having one of the best rookie years in the league, the best rookie in the NBA, but they are a top 5 defense in the league and a top 10 in opponents' points per game. 9th in opponents' points per game while being 4th in defensive rating. And when you consider that Chet is actually adding better offensive production than a lot of people thought, it's no surprise that this OKC team is a top 10 offense and top 10 defense. 8th in offensive rating and 9th in points per game. You know, Shea has just picked up where he left off, a 30-point per game scorer, not surprising. Chet, I'm looking at the numbers, 17, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, a steal, 56% from the field, 46% from 3, 91% at the free throw line. A part of me, I will admit, thinks that his shooting, his efficiency, it seems a little fake. I did not think Chet was going to be this good of a shooter coming into the league. And if it maintains, it maintains. Honestly, I don't want to see a sophomore slump with Chet because he's great. But I do expect some of them efficiency numbers to drop a little bit, especially a 3-point percentage, albeit not too many attempts, but he's still taking a good amount. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, 3.6, 46%. That's still impressive for a rookie big. I'm going to just be honest. And yes, Josh Giddey, or should I say, like Gobel says, Josh Shitty, your time on the clock, it's ticking, nigga. You're about to get traded. You stink. He stinks, man. He's not good. I'm done with Josh Giddey. But it's, by the way, it's not just Chet. Dort is even shooting really well. 46% from 3 on 4.4 attempts. Dort's doing well. And also something about Dort a lot of people don't know, Dort's actually strong enough. He begins to the rim, and he's making his layups now. Hey, he's looking good. He's looking good. And also, shout out to Cason Wallace. He's one of the better rookies this year that a lot of people aren't talking about. I do think he has been really, really solid. He's not going to be rookie of the year, but he's helping out with some of the spacing. He's been giving them some really decent minutes. And also, speaking of spacing, Isaiah Joe, once again, one of the better shooters in the league. 50% from 3 this year on 5.6 attempts. They got spacing. They got shooters. They got guys that are maintaining what they did last year, like SGA, Jalen Williams. People had questions about those guys, especially SGA. And I want to say to everybody that was mad about ESPN ranking SGA, I believe like 9th in the league coming into this season is their projections. Do you guys still got a problem? You still got an issue? Because he's still one of the best scorers in the NBA. He's still a 30-point per game scorer. He's still one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. He's still one of the best drivers in the NBA. A good playmaker, nice passer. He be missing some passing lanes here and there. He be ball hogging at times, I'm not going to lie. But he's still a pretty solid playmaker. And on top of that, defensively this year, I actually think he's been a plus. Unlike last season where you could argue he was a negative at times. Man, a lot of people owe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander an apology. People were just so quick to be like, how can you say a 30-point per game scorer last year is going to be a top 10 player this year with a better roster on his hands? Come on. Y'all were quick to shit on SGA because you didn't want to take the leap of faith. And it's okay. It's okay. Real ones like me, we knew he was better than Damian Lillard. We knew he was better than fucking Trae Young. Come on, man. We been knew that. Hop on the train, man. Hop on the train. Hop on the train. Lakers. We should have known they'd be good again this year. I think a lot of people were kind of doubting the Lakers when they had like their slow start. But LeBron's been playing great. LeBron's damn near going back to like 2022 LeBron, right? When he was like an MVP candidate right before he got hurt with Solomon Hill, diving at his ankle. That injury still makes me mad. And I'm not even a Lakers fan. It just makes me mad. Like LeBron was playing really good that season, and then just the injury came out of nowhere. I think that was 2021, not 22, 21. But he's shooting really well from 3 this year. I think he has a true shooting percentage of 67%. I think he's top 5 in true shooting percentage this year. And we all know what he brings as a playmaker. Defensively, I think he's been on and off, but I think he's for the most part been a plus. But yeah, the Lakers and Anthony Davis, by the way, AD. One of the best defenders in the league. It's so insane what that defense looks like when he's not on the court or when he just doesn't play. Think about it, right? They just beat the Rockets the other day. Remember when they faced the Rockets the first time without AD? When I went to go watch, they got demolished. They were down 30 at one point in the game. Dylan Brooks was literally locking up LeBron. LeBron got like a bucket or two on him, but there were some possessions. Dylan Brooks played some great defense, forced some turnovers, funneled him to certain sides so that he could help. Because, you can't guard LeBron one-on-one forever, especially when he's backing you down the post. So I definitely think AD, it's clear like what his impact is. When he's on the court, they're one of the best teams in the league. When he's off the court or not playing, they're nasty. And mind you, he's doing that without a consistent play or without consistent play from the guards. Austin Reeves, D'Lo, they've been inconsistent all year. Reeves been playing a lot better, but he didn't start off the season that way. So yeah, we should have known Lakers would still be good and find their footing to be a legitimate threat to come out the Western Conference. But the Kings, we should have known they weren't going to fall off. Come on now, we should have known that. 1 second. But yeah, we should have known the Kings weren't going to fall off. This is a Kings team that, granted, in the postseason, it didn't look good. De'Aaron Fox didn't play great in the last couple games, but Sabonis was just, oh man, Sabonis was so horrible. And it's wild because he's been going crazy over the last week or two, just like De'Aaron Fox has. But he's been going crazy, and people are literally just commenting over and over. I keep seeing people say, I don't care if he averages 100. I'm not taking him seriously after the playoffs. And look, Sabonis, I just think he's one of those players that he's not a go-to scorer. He's not. And if you watch Sabonis, he's not a great scorer. He's solid, he's good, but he's not somebody that against certain teams he's going to go off. He's going to be a guarantee to do so. He's not. And the Warriors were just such a horrible matchup for him because offensively, they're a high-motion offense. It's hard for him to really contain that, especially when your help, it's not great. Though I do think the Kings' point of attack was a lot better in that series than people gave it credit for. But it's not like he has another, weak side shot blocker there to help him out. Harrison Barnes, that's not his role anymore. He's not a good help defender. So yeah, man, that Kings team, I think a lot of people kind of counted them out after that series and just said we're never going to take them serious. But they're still a really good team. They could beat a lot of teams in the West. And in a rematch right now, if they face the Golden State Warriors, I do think there's a good chance they win. Even as bad as Sabonis played last year, they went 7. And De'Aaron Fox right now looks better. And don't forget, he did have a hand injury that hampered him in the last couple games. So I'm just saying, I definitely think they're a legitimate team that can give some problems to a lot of teams in the Western Conference. Maybe I'll even say all of them, to be honest. Then the 76ers. People were really predicting, not like they'd fall out of the playoffs, but they were like, oh, man, without Harden, we're not going to take them seriously in the East. I think they should be taken seriously in the East because Tyrese Maxey has stepped up. Defensively, they're really good. And there's a chance they're probably going to pick up Alex Caruso, and I would actually like that for this team. I would strengthen up that point of attack. Caruso with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid in the back, in the front court, I definitely think that's great right there. He's a good connective piece. He's going to help out with some of the playmaking duties. He's one of the best point of attack defenders in the league. I think he's the best guard defender in the NBA. Call me a Bulls homer, I don't care. I think he's the best guard defender in the league. So that would be a great pickup for the Philadelphia 76ers, not going after Zach LaVine. They should be going after a guy like Alex Caruso, and he's a much better contract. $9 million? Come on, take that. Take that shit immediately. But yeah, let's move on. They could win it all, but yeah, that's what these teams are. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they could actually win it all, but Karl Anthony Towns is on the team. Karl Anthony Towns needs to be moved. I don't care how good he's been playing as of late. Karl Anthony Towns tricks you niggas. He tricks you niggas. That's what he does. Karl Anthony Towns, he's a guy that struggles with physicality. He'd be struggling to back down wings. On top of that, defensively, he sucks. He sucks. He's not good, especially at the power forward. That's just not a good spot for him. And offensively, in the playoffs, when he's going to be met with, better defenses that can scheme for him, he's going to drop off again. And the Timberwolves are going to regret not moving this nigga when they should have. Move this nigga, honestly. Someone said, would I trade Cat for Siakam? Siakam's on an expiring deal, so I probably want something a little more secure than someone like Siakam. Someone said Cat's actually good on defense. Be serious. Come playoff time, he's going to be a foul machine like he always is. Don't fall for that shit. Don't fall for that shit. And then the Bucks. They could win it all, but their point of attack defense is horrible. It's nasty. It's smelly. It sucks. If they can, I don't know if it's possible, but if they can, they got to trade for Alex Caruso, or they should, right? Caruso's on a manageable contract. I don't know anything that they have on that roster that I want. I don't want anything. Unless you're thinking of offering, like, I don't even know. Actually, I don't want anybody. I mean, I guess Marjan could be solid. Beauchamp, I mean, he could be good. But I don't want him. I want a first, at least an unprotected first. They're going to have to get a third team involved. That's how I look at it if they want to get somebody like Caruso. Giannis has been playing out of his mind. People were so quick to shit on him. Oh, Giannis, he's regressing. Oh, Giannis, he's regressing. Oh, please. Man's averaging, I think, what did I post just now? I posted something on X earlier today. This is how crazy Giannis has been. Giannis in the last 6 games, 37 points a game, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal and a half, 71% from the field, 72% true shooting. Man's is going ballistic. Defensively, I definitely think there should be more effort there, but the point of attack is so bad. You got guys like Malik Beasley, Damian Lillard, struggling to guard anybody. And Middleton has regressed on both sides. Hopefully he plays better later on in the season, but he is coming off of injury, so I'm going to give him some grace period. But yeah, Dame is fighting for his life defensively. That nigga is cooked. I'm telling y'all right now, he's cooked. He smells. So yeah, they could win it. The Bucks could win it all, but it's gonna have to take Dame playing better offensively, more consistently, and not just being a free throw merchant. As when it comes to like being a real effective offensive player, you can't just be getting to the free throw line all the time, especially come playoff time where they're allowing you to be more physical, and you're not gonna get all those calls as much as you want. He's got to be better. He's got to be better, and defensively, at least show a lot more effort. Because he's always going to be a negative. I've just accepted that, especially now that he's gotten older. He's like, 32? He's never going to be a good defender. Those days are done. But show more effort. All I can ask. But yeah, these teams could win it all, but the Bucks have some of the worst point of attack defense in the league, but the Timberwolves have Karl Anthony Towns on the roster. And Anthony Edwards, I don't think he's ready yet to take that next leap to be the best player on a championship team. I think that's a little too presumptuous. But if things don't go in the way of favor of other teams, like if injuries come up, I can see these teams winning it all, but more than likely, it's not happening. And last but not least, the favorites. These two teams are the favorites for good reason. For good reason. The Celtics have some of the like best roster construction in the league. Some of the best point of attack defenders, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, one of the best wing defenders in the league. Porzingis is actually having a really solid season. They're using him right. They're giving him touches in the post. I like some of the actions they've done with him and Tatum and other players. Tatum's creating advantages for everybody on the team. Tatum, right now, he's a top 10 player solidified. You could argue a top 5 player so far this season. He's been great. And like I said earlier, defensively, he's one of the best two-way players in the league. You could argue he is the best two-way player in basketball. It's him, Giannis, and Anthony Davis. Those are the 3 best two-way players probably. I might be forgetting somebody, but those are probably the 3 best. Or Embiid too. Those are, take your pick, honestly, on who's the best two-way player between them. But Tatum has an argument. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. So, yeah, I think the Celtics are a really deep team. The only concern I have with them, nobody's talking about it, but Jaylen Brown is low-key putting up the C.J. McCollum stat line right now, and he just became the highest paid player in the fucking association. I'm just saying. But, yeah, what else we got? The Denver Nuggets. I know the Nuggets have kind of been slipping lately, but aren't they 10-3? Time for panic is second in the West, being 10-3 if you're the Denver Nuggets. Granted, Jamal Murray needs to come back. He needs to play better. He wasn't playing better to start off the season, but he has to play solid this year. And he has to just come back and be healthy. That's something that needs to happen this year for the Nuggets to go back-to-back. But the reason I have them here is because when they're fully healthy and they're playing up to their capabilities, I don't think there's a single team in the NBA that can really beat them, honestly. There's no team in the NBA at the bare minimum I could say definitively can beat or will beat the Nuggets. There may be teams that could give them problems and some matchups I really want to see, but there's just no team I think right now currently that's playing that I'm seeing and I'm saying, okay, they will definitively beat the Nuggets. You know, and I think the Celtics can really make it a really good series. They have a chance. The Bucks, I guess there's a chance. The Sixers, there's a chance. I'm more confident in the Sixers and probably the Celtics in a matchup like that against the Nuggets. But either way, I just think the Nuggets, they're just too good. They're too good. Someone's saying D-Mitch to the Heat. Did that just happen or something? Niggas out here trying to get me caught up, man. Someone said prime Marc Gasol would stop Jokic. In what universe? Not in my universe, buddy. But yeah, let me pull up the full list for you guys so you guys can see the whole thing. 1 second here. Pulling up the whole list for you guys. And I want to know what you guys think. Y'all can drop some questions down there as well. Forward. The hell? Why is it not closing? Okay, yeah, this media player wants to be lame. 1 second, y'all. I'm pulling it up. The whole list. You guys can see it. I made a tier maker for it. I don't know why it's tweaking on me. There we, oh, that's how. Okay, I got it down. Why is it not pulling up? Or maybe I could just put the photo up here. I'm tripping. I'm so tripping, dog. I'm so sorry, y'all. Image. There we go. Here we go. Tier maker. Move this over. Here we go, y'all. Here's the whole tiers. All the tiers right here. I want to know what you guys think. You guys can go in the comments right now. Actually, let me drop some questions. I'm going to put a Q&A for you guys. We can go over the tiers and everything. Go over them tiers. All right, so these are the tiers, right? At the bottom, you got the bums. I'll go over it one more time. The bums. The Bulls, Wizards, Grizzlies, Spurs, Blazers, Jazz, Pistons, Hornets. Those are the bums. The bums. Next tier, sad, mediocre. The teams that I think are sad, they're mediocre, and it's not a good thing that they're mediocre. We got the Pelicans, the Raptors, and the Hawks, right? These are not teams that should be happy to be mediocre. Grateful mediocrity. You got the Rockets, and you got the Nets. The teams that, as mediocre as they are right now, their records suggest and things like that, these are teams that are happy to be in this position because they're ahead of schedule, at least for the Rockets. And the Nets, they don't have their pick, so this is the best they can do. And considering, they've had some injuries, and Cam Thomas is he's looking solid. I would say they're in a good position right now. Next, you got Midpack, the Cavs and the Knicks. These are teams that are middle of the road teams. These are not teams that should really be happy with where they are because they should be better. And they're obviously a step or a piece away. And honestly, who knows if those things are going to come back to bite them in the ass, and players might ask out. I'm just saying. Struggling contenders. You got the Suns, the Warriors, and the Clippers. These are teams that are contenders, when in reality they're not. We all know these are not teams that are going anywhere. The Suns, I think, are the stronger out of these three. If any of these teams are legitimate, it's the Suns. Because KD and D-Book, I think in a playoff series, I trust them more than any other duo of the other teams. Especially, the Warriors, because what's their second option? Clay? Yeah, that's not happening, buddy. And then you got the Clippers as well. Better than expected. You got the Pacers, the Mavs, the Magic. They're better than expected. You know what I'm saying? It speaks for itself. These are not teams that coming into the year, people saw them doing what they're doing for the most part. So, yeah. And then you got the OKC Thunder, the Lakers, the Heat, the Kings, and the 76ers. These are the teams that we should have known. We should have known these teams would be better than a lot of people thought. I mean, all these teams had some question marks that people were, a little bit iffy on. But now when you look at the season, we really should have known they'd be this good. I'm just saying. And then they could win, but that's the Bucks and the Wolves. These teams could win a championship this year, but they got problems. More than likely, it just won't happen. And then the favorites for good reason, the Nuggets and the Celtics. So what do you guys have an issue with? First of all, before we even keep going, drop a like on the stream. Like it up. We got to get them likes up, man. Get them up. Let's get them likes up. Get them likes up. We got to be better than where we at right now. Someone said Bam needs to take a jump. Let me drop a Q&A for y'all. All right, y'all. I'm dropping a Q&A. Any issues y'all got with the tiers, y'all let me know right there. I'm going to take a few questions, a few issues. And if you guys got anything, let me know down there. Y'all let me know. What the hell? This real? Bro, niggas out here sniffing booty cheeks, man. I seen on the TO. Someone said no issue, just wanted to say that's a perfect tier list. Thank you. But I need people that have issues. I need people that have issues to come to the comments and come to the questions. Someone asked, this is not really related to it, but I mean, I'll just select it. Can SGA lead the Thunder to a championship in the future? I think he can. I don't know if he can do that as the best player, but I think he could be the best scorer on a championship team for sure. But honestly, the thing is, I don't even like to answer questions like that. I don't even want to say that, honestly, because he hasn't been in a playoff scenario. I want to see him in a playoff scenario before I can really react to that. So, yeah. Someone said the Spurs. Okay, I think he's just trolling. The Spurs should be favorites. They have what Bonans? I guess he's trying to say Wemby. Can I put them higher? Well, whatever weed you got from your dealer, let me know. I'm very interested. Want to get that pack. Another question here. Can Luka lead the Mavs to a championship this year? No, I do not. I think Luka will lead a team to a championship one day. I notice I said a team because it's a good chance it may not be the Mavs. But I think he can lead a team to a championship one day. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. Not with the Mavs. Not this year. Someone said, why are the Lakers over the Warriors? Well, they're a better team than the Warriors. Head to head, we saw what happened last year, and the Warriors this year, you could argue, look worse than last year. Looney has been worse than he was last year. Their lack of size is still a problem that the Lakers will destroy because of it. And then you got to rely on players like Kuminga. I don't think he's going to be good in playoff setting. I don't see how they're not worse than the Lakers. And then Klay Thompson is on the team. Let's be serious. Someone said Memphis will get better once Ja Morant comes back. Not a bottom feeder. They probably will, but by the time Ja comes back, will the damage already be done? That's the question. Right now, they're bums. They're bums. They got to be at the bottom right now. I don't see how they're doing anything right now as it stands. Someone said the Lakers should be a tier higher, maybe the 76ers and Heat too. I'll say this. When it comes to like some of the higher tiers, that probably isn't like in order. Like this is obviously like left to right. It's not going in left to right order, by the way. But like they could win, but the Bucks and the Wolves, I actually think they could win, but like I said, they had issues. The Lakers, that could also apply to the Lakers, but I think the Lakers more so fit the we should have known thing because we should have known they'd be good. It's like I said, some of the teams in the we should have known, you could argue are better than the Bucks and the Wolves. But right now, we should have known. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm putting them right there. I guess you could swap that. I wouldn't have an issue if you swapped that. Do you see a path for Miami to make the finals again with the current state of the East with no changes to their roster? Yeah. I said earlier, I think the Heat can make the finals again. Highsmith is playing good defense. They got Duncan Robinson looking playable. Bam is playing the best ball of his career. And we all know come playoff time, Jimmy Butler is just a different nigga at that point. Last question. If Tatum is that guy, he should lead them to a title and win with the best cast. I agree. I completely agree. They should. He should be able to do that, but we all know how Jason Tatum works and how he operates. But I think that wraps up this stream. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell for post notifications. I'm going to make this a, bi-weekly, maybe 3-weekly thing. You guys stay safe. Like I said, have a blessed day. I'm out. Peace.